Hey y'all, it's Alec with Sharing the Journey. Today we're going to talk about keeping your water lines from freezing in cold temperature. I check the weather every couple of days, usually on the 10-day forecast to see how things are changing. And we will be having below freezing temperatures for the next 5 nights. For the next 5 nights, it's going to be under 30 degrees. So we can get in the 40s during the day like it is today. But that means we cannot keep our water hooked up to the city water. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to turn off the city water, put the water filter and the regulator in a warm bay, and keep it from freezing. So when we decided to go full timing, we knew that we were going to be in some extreme temperatures because you never know where your jobs are going to take you. Example, we spent 2 winters in Minnesota in negative 20 degrees weather. So in 2019, we bought this rig. We made sure that we had a 4-season camper. Now, what is a 4-season camper? A 4-season camper has insulated walls, floors, and roofs. It has an enclosed heated underbelly. And at that time, it had an efficient heating and air system, HVAC. Now they also include double pane windows, upgraded weather seals, and that sort of stuff. But for when we bought our rig was considered a 4-season rig. Now, what is a heated underbelly? So as you can see, my RV, and I'm filling this fresh water tank, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. My RV has enclosed cabinets all the way around. It's sealed at the bottom, so it's got a good floor in it. And it's got a propane heater. And in my camper, and in any 4-season camper, you want that heater to also heat the underbelly, the water compartments. So on this side of my camper, I have a freshwater tank, which you can see I'm filling. And then behind the freshwater tank, I have a black and gray tank. Now, that cabinet is open across to my water compartment. So that section is heated, and plus I put alternative heat, which I'll get to in a minute. So what are some things that I do when we have extreme weather coming in? Now, first of all, we learned a lot when we were in Minnesota, and I'll stick a picture up here of us camping in the snow. It was negative 20 degrees. Now, we're in South Carolina camping, and it's, we get it in the teens every now and then, and so I'm not having to be as extreme. So what I'm doing in this moderately cold weather is, like I said before, I take off the water filter and the regulator. I disconnect the hose. Now, this stanchion has, if you turn off the water, as long as there's nothing connected to it, the water drains down 3 feet and bleeds out the bottom. We used to call those farm spigots. But if not, you could have a heated hose that goes to the camper and not have to do what I'm doing today. But you'd have to make sure that you insulated the water pipe and the spigot, and then most people put like a trash can or something over it once you've insulated it. For us, I fill my fresh water tank, which we got to go check on, and I use a pump, and I pump off my fresh water tank. Now, my fresh water tank holds 62 gallons, and as you can see, it's filling up. I've got that much more room to go, so I have to keep a good eye on it. But my freshwater tank holds 62 gallons, and we fill that. Now, I use auxiliary heat in my water bay. So I have a space heater right there that I put in there, and I set it for about 40 degrees. And so if it gets below 40 or 45 degrees in there, the thermostat will turn the heat on and it will assist the propane heat. The other thing I do is I monitor the water bay. Here's a temperature receiver, and on my refrigerator I have the thermometer that reads that and tells me what the temperature is in the bay. You can have an alarm set on it. I've got my alarm set for 38 degrees. So I know that if the bay is 38 degrees or less, the alarm's going to go off and it's going to alert me. Now, some other things you can do that if your RV is not four season and you're getting to where you have to camp in it in inclement weather, you can do things like skin the outside. When we were in Minnesota, even though mine's a four season, mine's not rated for negative 20 degrees. So I took wrap and wrapped the bottom with that silver insulation wrap that you can get at Home Depot. It's called Reflectix. I wrapped the whole bottom, and then I stuck 2 grow lights like you would use on a farm if you're hatching chickens or anything and you have to put a heat lamp underneath there. I put a heat lamp underneath there, and between the Reflectix and the heat lamp, it helped keep that nice and toasty underneath. And then I would go a little bit further and I would get some underlayment for your camper and go ahead and enclose the underneath, where, especially where the water bay is, and also will help keep the floors warm. I would enclose that with, they make an underlayment that you can put underneath your camper and just bolt it to the substructure underneath. I would do that. And then you could also put one of those ceramic heaters like I've got in my water bay, in your water bay, and that would help keep the water pipes from freezing. Now, my Tiffin has a flaw in its design, and so on my Tiffin, the water line right here comes out of the side of my freshwater tank. And this panel is metal. You can see it's insulated. It's thick, it's insulated like a four-season camper should be, but I put the Reflectix. This is the stuff that I was telling you about that I used to wrap my camper in. I got it at Home Depot. I put an added extra layer of protection between the water tank because negative 20 is cold. And I still had problems with this water line freezing, so you can go to Ace Hardware, Lowe's, or somewhere and get a piece of heat tape. And I just taped it to the water line and I sent it all the way through. This is the where the heat blows out from the heater into this bay. So between that and the heated tape, and I just plug it in from the stanchion right there, and that keeps everything nice and toasty underneath there to keep it from freezing. The other thing you can do is you can buy auxiliary heating pads that you can put on your tanks. You can put them on all three, your fresh, your gray, and your black tank. And you can control those inside. Now, depending on if you've got a 30 amp or a 50 amp camper, your RV itself, the electrical system inside, may not be able to handle all that power drain. So what I do is I got a 30 amp puck that converts it down to 110, 30 to 110. And that's what I run my outside heater that's in the water bay off of, and I also run the heat tape that I've got on that water line coming out of my tank. I run that off of that 30 amp puck. And I'll list most of this stuff in the description through my Amazon link for you. And that's how I'll go about keeping things from freezing up. A couple of other things you can do is propane heater. If your heater keeps the water bay warm. And so I keep my heat on the inside on 65 degrees, and I do run supplemental electric heaters, one on the dashboard and one in the bedroom. So I make sure that they are not much hotter than the propane heater. So that way when it gets really chilly outside, the propane heater will still click on and it will still heat the water bay in my camper. So as you saw before, I filled up my water tank. Now you can see I've turned off my water. I've disconnected my water hose. I've drained all the water out of my water hose and rolled it up so it's out of the way. I have moved my splitter, my water filter, and my regulator into this heated bay. I've got heat from the electric heater on this side, and on the other side the propane heater dumps into it. I made sure I drained my gray tank because it was about full. Now the black tank I emptied the other day, so it doesn't need drained. I close all that off. Now if you want to ensure that you don't have issues, or it's just going to get below freezing for a short period of time, and you wanted to make sure that your water line did not freeze, there's nothing wrong for a short period of time for you to go ahead and run the kitchen faucet and the bathroom faucet or the shower at a trickle. You just have to make sure you leave your gray tank open so you don't overflood and fill your system while you're sleeping and cause a mess when you wake up. Additional thing you can do if you don't want to put tank heaters on or tank warming pads on your black and your gray tank, you can add some RV antifreeze into that system to keep them from freezing. However, you need to make sure that you do not add any RV antifreeze to your freshwater tank that you're going to be pumping out of, because antifreeze is poisonous and you do not want to poison yourself. So I hope you find those tips helpful and what we do to keep our water from freezing. And I hope you enjoy your winter camping season. Until next time, this is Alec from Sharing the Journey. I ask you to like, share, and subscribe if you're not. It helps the channel a lot. Safe travels out there, everybody.